Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We got to talk about Survivor 41, episode 12, Truth Kamikaze.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if that was the truth, but it was a kamikaze of sorts. But
Yeah.
first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon,
Sure,
patreon.com/nerdtainment. Join
sure.
us over there.
Yeah.
And can't help but notice that sweet, sweet
Oh,
sweater you got
who's
on,
got a new
Sarah.
sweatshirt over here? Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't get to say this with
I
Survivor, but
know. We
spoilers,
don't.
spoilers,
What is
spoilers.
spoilers?
It's our thing. And
Yeah.
honestly, this sweatshirt is actually really soft and cozy. So
Ah,
10 out of 10. Highly recommend.
love. Highly
You guys
recommend Nerdtainment
jump over
merch.
to the merch if you're so interested. But you guys,
Yes.
let's talk about this episode because I was confused. And then I was just kind of still confused.
Yeah, I feel like we need to break this down after
Let's do
we
it.
do a
Mm-hmm.
straight recap because I just need like to get into the brains of what the move. I don't think it was necessarily a bad move, but I'm just kind of like, how did this all go down? But we're coming off of Liana's elimination and that really moving tribal, right? And it's mostly about that tribal. Like there's not a ton of strategy at the top of this episode because it's a lot of like debriefing about the emotional tribal and the important
Yeah.
messaging. But
It
one
was almost
piece,
like a coming down
you
from
totally, yeah.
all that.
They're all
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, it was an emotional tribal. They're like checking in with each other, like, you okay? You okay? You know, but there was a couple of pieces of strategy. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
and I do want to talk about the emotional come down, but
Yeah.
right away, Deshaun is like, I wanted it to be me, Liana, and Danny at the end. You know, he's really bummed about this. And it just made me think like, we've talked about it before, but timing is so important. And I really feel like Deshaun has nobody to blame but himself in terms of that whole thing blowing up because it wasn't the right time to get Shan out. If you wanted it to be you,
Yeah.
Danny, and Liana at the end.
Yeah. It was a tough place that Deshaun was in because he did not really work well with Shan.
Yeah.
But he wanted but he had the numbers with her. And it's tough when you weigh out, I have numbers, but do I really trust this person?
Right.
So yeah, I get it what Deshaun did, but ultimately it was the demise of their numbers, their majority, their group. And
Yep.
you know, I mean, he's last man standing at this point, but I don't know that that's great for his game. Yeah, he's in this position because of himself, for sure.
It's true. But, you know, like I said, it's a lot of everybody's like kind of feeling good about the emotional catharsis of that tribal. You know, Heather and Deshaun are connecting on a personal level the next morning. She's like, I want to talk. I want you to talk to me. I want you to share with me and I want to listen. And then a great segment with Erica and Deshaun, I thought, where she's like,
right.
It really is like interesting to think about this as a moral dilemma that these people are facing, where they're like, you know, I want to like lift up people like this in general, but on Survivor, I want to win. So that means me taking out these people that I want to lift up in other ways,
right.
you know, and she's also thinking about the woman of it all and wanting to see a woman win. And I want to see a woman win too. There's just like a lot going on with these eliminations.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see her bring this up because we hear it, we say it, we want women to win because we just don't get it that often. Just like we want a person of color to win because we don't get it that often. Like we want to see outside of what we get regularly. So when you're in the game, you know that in the back of your head, but you got to play your game because you got to try to win.
That's right.
What I really thought was interesting in all of this sort of top conversation here was that Danny said, I really thought we had Xander. I really thought he was voting with us. And I found that interesting because we've talked about how Danny and Xander talk, Deshaun and Xander talk. Like there are these sort of outside relationships, it seems like. to the point that there have been a few votes where they thought they were voting together and they didn't.
I mean, I feel like maybe we have to give credit to Xander there, for making them think that they had him, like he obviously said the right things to make them think that he was with them. So credit to him. But now Xander is like, okay, now that Liana's gone, Ricard's got to go,
right.
Like, I know that I didn't do it in this vote and y'all wanted to do Ricard, but now I'm ready to do Ricard now that Liana's gone.
And again, I don't know if he's just saying this because, he told him last vote that he was going to vote Ricard out. Right. He does open up and explain that Ricard is his shield, which on one hand, okay, good to make it clear. Like, it's nothing against you. I want to work with you. Yeah. It's just that Ricard is my shield for this vote. But next vote, for sure. I don't know. It's like, I'll give you a little bit of truth to make you believe me. I don't know if that's 100% true. But I liked the tactic,
Yeah, me too. But like I said, mostly, the top of this episode were these like emotional come down conversations going into our reward, which the top of this reward was interesting to me too, because Jeff's like, 2 teams and you guys get to pick. Do you want chicken and veggies or do you want cake, cookies, and candy? And Deshaun's like, neither. I really would love a letter from a loved one.
You don't need food, Deshaun?
You do, actually.
You are turning down food right now?
Yeah, no. Based on your performance in this reward challenge, y'all need food. So I don't know why you're saying, like, I don't need this. I need emotional, like, from my love. I mean, I guess coming out of that tribal, you do kind of feel like, I want to hear from somebody I love. But you need
He's
food.
in an emotional place. I get it. But, like, if Jeff offers you food, don't ever say, nah, pass.
Yeah.
But I love that Jeff gave them a choice because you and I talk about this. I get so annoyed when he's like, here's a reward, it's cake. And I'm like, cake? That's not what they need.
No.
Give them sustenance. What?
Exactly. Nutrients, like not just calories. We need like things that are going to carry us into, the next challenge.
Right. So I was glad that they got the choice, and wisely, we're going to see them choose the actual fuel, not, he's like, or if you're just a hankering for some sweets. I'm like, I don't care if they're hankering for some sweets.
Truly.
They don't need it.
You do not need it.
They don't. Okay. So we're going to split up into 2 groups here. Danny, Ricard, and Heather. Erica, Deshaun, and Xander. I think this is the first time Danny and Deshaun are not on a team together.
And the teams feel balanced. Like, it just feels like there's an equal chance for these 2 teams to win based on, where everybody is physically and all of that. So, and it is like pretty neck and neck. I guess it's like kind of back and forth, right? Because they have to swim and climb over this rope thing, dive in, release the buoys, and then et cetera, et cetera. So, it's, who is it first? Is it Xander and Danny first? And they're kind of like...
Right. Jumping in and diving. Yeah.
I think Xander is a little bit first, but then Ricard overtakes Deshaun, in the next leg. So the 2 teams are pretty evenly matched early on.
Yeah, they basically get to the last leg, which is shooting baskets at the same time. Deshaun's going to get one of the baskets real quick. But then the other team, this is when we have a total breakdown because 2 people technically could be in the water rebounding those balls back to the one person shooting. And Danny is shooting, missing. So he wants to swap with Xander. And Heather just goes ahead and takes that as like, okay,
with Ricard.
Ricard.
Yeah.
Heather's like, cool, I'll step out then too.
Yeah, it's like, feels like there's a bit of a breakdown in communication, or maybe Heather's just like, I literally can't tread water anymore. I'm going to drown. So I'm going to climb out of here. But Jeff, of course, like over dramatizes everything. And he's like, complete communication breakdown on the blue team. I don't know what Heather's doing, leaving Danny out in the water by himself. And I'm like, Jeff, chill. The woman is just exhausted and needs to catch her breath.
He's like, what is this strategy? They've lost their minds. And I'm like, well, it's Heather. Even though we're not seeing communication, it's Heather.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just go ahead and assume that Ricard and Danny aren't expecting much out of Heather and are
Yeah.
not like, get in the water because she
Yeah.
may drown. So
Exactly right. They're like, Heather, just do what you need to do to stay alive. We'll
they're
get
like, fine,
it. Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, poor Danny's like, I got it, like swimming an hour away to get the
I
ball.
know. I know.
So they don't really get much going here. Deshaun's
They
going to go ahead
lose.
and make 3 baskets, and that team is
Yes.
going to win.
Right. So they, like you say, pick chicken and veggies, which is such a relief. I was like, please do not pick the cake. Do not pick. You can have cake in like 5 days.
Yes.
Pick the chicken and veggies.
You can have all the cake you want. Once the season's over, have it every day. I do not care. Right now, get you some protein, okay?
Yeah.
So the 3 of them, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go off. They're going to have their little healthy chicken and veggies. What is this talk about? This is right up Xander's diet alley. He's so happy. I was like, what?
You know, maybe he's one of those meal prep people who just has like grilled chicken and like steamed broccoli. Like he has those little like plastic containers where he like makes his meal. On Sundays, he does his meal prep and it's just chicken and brown rice and broccoli every day.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
I don't know. Like, has he mentioned he's gluten-free or something? Yeah. I was like, what is this? Like 2 sound bites. He says it and then Erica's like, yeah, you. And I was like, no one has mentioned this, but okay. Yeah. Right. So they're in a chit chat, of course.
Yep. Yeah. And Deshaun's doing his social game thing. There's a lot of focus on Deshaun's social game from here on out in the episode. And he's saying like, Xander and Erica, listen, I'm open. I'm here for you. I am ready to vote with you. Let's do this. Final 3. And they're all kind of talking around Ricard, at which point I'm like, okay, Ricard is winning immunity this episode.
Of course.
Yeah. But they sort of make this vague final 3 that to me doesn't feel real, but it's like, you have to do it when you're on this reward, you know?
Yes, you have to do it. And, they're like, yes, let's bond over the fact that Ricard is the best player in the game and needs to go. Of course, that is truth. But then Deshaun's going to tell us in his confessional, I don't believe any of this, or I don't trust them. And I'm not being honest. I'm not being truthful to them because I don't trust them, which is true to what we've seen with Deshaun. Yeah. He's going to say what he says to everybody. And it's not going to pan out for anybody.
Yeah, right. But back at camp, Ricard wanders off. Heather's like, okay, well, let's keep smiling. I'm going to go get a tarp or whatever. And then Danny's like, I'm going to look for an idol. So he scampers off and is all over the island looking for an idol and doesn't have much luck, but he's gone for long enough. And he's chipper enough when he comes back to camp and finds Ricard and Heather waiting for him that Ricard is like, something's going on.
Well, he scampers right by the idol. We are to assume.
He does.
Since the editors like do the little highlight thing. We didn't see him in the shot, so they could be just messing with us. But we see that there is an idol out on the beach for somebody to find.
Back in the game.
And they don't show us with Danny finding it, but yes, he's whistling back at camp enough that Ricard's like, oh boy, a total energy shift has happened. Danny is a new man, and I think he has an idol. That's how Ricard takes that.
Yeah, Ricard, Eagle Eye Ricard, watching everybody's body language and what's changing. So he thinks that Danny has an idol. And then we get a little convo between Erica and Deshaun at the well.
Deshaun wants to follow up. Erica, I really meant what I said. No, you didn't. But okay. I really meant what I said. And I want to just like throw a little icing on the cake. We got to get Heather out. Is that basically what he's saying here? This conversation, I was like, hey.
I think he kind of he's trying to, I guess, sow suspicion in Erica's brain about like how connected she really should be to Heather. So it kind of comes up that she and Heather have similar games. And is that really a good thing to
Okay.
have a similar game and be sitting next to someone or even be aligned with someone who has the same game as you. And Deshaun thinks that he is playing voodoo ninja mind tricks with Erica and planting $1 million seed to win the game somehow. I'm not sure how this translates to him winning $1 million.
Okay. No, not at all, to be honest. Erica goes into this whole thing about, yeah, I've thought about that. I can't sit next to Eric, or it would be difficult to sit next to Heather since our games are so similar that I'd really have to work overtime to explain the difference. And I think every Survivor viewer collectively went, wait, what? No.
No.
What? No.
I mean, I pray that Erica is just saying this for the benefit of like throwing Deshaun off the scent.
Yes.
Because I have to believe that Erica knows that it's really the easiest path to bring Heather with you, to sit next to you and have to argue your game versus her game, regardless of who you are.
Erica, I am giving you props. I'm giving you bonus points for having Heather as your GOAT to drag to the end and sit next to. So I'm going to assume that this is just smoke you're blowing up Deshaun, just to make him feel safe and comfortable that, yes, you don't need Heather in this game. It would benefit you to lose Heather in this game. I'd totally into you, Deshaun. This has to be gameplay. I cannot believe that Erica actually thinks her game is at all similar to Heather, or that she would have to explain how they're different in the end. But also, Deshaun, $1 million seed to plant would have been something more in the Ricard Xander area.
Oh, yes, quite. Even Danny. Somebody else.
Anyone else. Not Heather. Heather is not someone we should worry about right now. I don't know what that $1 million seed that he planted really was.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but okay.
Okay.
We go to immunity.
Yes.
We're gonna spin around in this thing to unravel a cord, go on the balance beam, and grab a puzzle piece and then put together this word puzzle.
Sure, it was hard.
It was hard. People were really even Danny, you looking at him, you're like, okay, he's got this, right? And I have been preaching Danny's throwing competitions and he's going to win out on immunity at this point. So I'm like surprised to see him stumbling so much. He can't quite get his balance on the balance beam and keeps falling. And, it's sort of, people are sort of slowly making their way across the balance beam. Heather's last, but then she even makes it through and everyone is eventually on the puzzle, and it's coming down to who can figure the puzzle out the quickest. Yes,
but Ricard is going to get to that puzzle first because somehow he did not lose his balance. Even though he's not quite to the balance beam first, like Danny did get there first, he did not struggle as much as Danny did with the balance. So Ricard does have a bit of a heads up there when it comes to the puzzle, but apparently also while he was spinning, he was going through all 4-letter words in his mind. Because sure. Use that time wisely.
Yeah.
While you're
Must
spinning.
have helped, I guess.
It really did, because that puzzle looked hard. Obviously, like usually,
I know a lot of
have
people
say same thing on both sides.
Yeah, and did you notice a lot of people had the upside down U in your?
Oh.
And I was just like, there's a lot of components to this that the letters, these pieces fit together in such a way that sometimes the letters are upside down. And like you say, it has to be the same on both sides. So people are, continually running back and forth to check each side of the puzzle and make sure everything looks good. But you can see that, again, this is the point in the game. We're almost at the end. And even though this is a shorter season, days wise, you are still seeing the fatigue here, particularly. I mean, we saw the physical fatigue in the reward challenge. Here we're seeing that mental fatigue because they're just putting pieces next to each other. They're not even they're putting M and N next to each other because, they're not thinking about actually trying to build a word. They're just I got to see these next to each other so I can see, is this actually a word? And then, oh no, it's not. And I need to try something else. It's just, whatever
It looked
works at this
really
point.
difficult, but Deshaun wasn't too far behind. Like
No.
Deshaun was catching up. He was like doing a little copying, but enough to like get himself right there. But Ricard is gonna just nail this puzzle. He's gonna get it. He's gonna win immunity. I am not surprised at all.
Me neither.
Because well, first off, he can win, but also he needs to win.
Yeah, and I was not surprised based on the edit because, you know, Ricard was an early target in these conversations. So
yeah,
he wins, and now we've got to pivot, which is always fun to go back to camp and figure out what are we going to do now. And when we get back there, Danny and Deshaun are annoyed, and it's mostly because one of them is going home at this point. You know, they're frustrated with everybody else's decision to keep Ricard at the last tribal, and it's like, yeah, but it was good for their game. Like it was really only bad for your game.
It was really bad for y'all's game. Really.
Yeah.
Like it's a mixed bag for other people's games, but it was really bad for y'all's game. But that's really because 2 tribals ago, y'all voted out Shan. So it has less to do with Ricard than it does Shan. But you guys are in a tricky spot. It does not need to be one of you two. And so from henceforth in this episode, I'm going to be like, what? Why is it just Danny and Deshaun? Like, what's happening? Where's the next layer here?
Right.
But they're like, I told you so. Ricard wins. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
Ricard does tell Danny, I think you have the idol. What? Why are you doing this, Ricard?
Yeah, that was strange. She just like went up and confronted him, and Danny handled it well. You know, Danny was like, I mean, if I did, I couldn't tell you. Like he wasn't even playing the game of like, no, I don't have it. What are you talking about? He just straight up is like, listen, this is a game. If I did have it, I wouldn't tell you. And we both know that's the case. So
absolutely. You know. And Ricard's going to go through Xander's bag. I mean, not Xander, Danny's bag. And I'm waiting now because now we're getting a little bit of a flashback. Editors are going to show us Danny got the idol. No, he didn't. He really just didn't find the idol.
He walked right by it. Yeah. So, but Danny's like pleased that people think he has an idol because he thinks like I could use that to my advantage. Maybe they're going to throw votes on Deshaun because they think I've got something to save myself. I don't know why he wouldn't be worried about them trying to flush said idol that they think he has, but he's feeling like, well, at least it's something. Like I don't have anything, but they think I have something. Maybe I can figure out a way to make this work. You know, then there's these conversations about Xander saying, oh, maybe it wasn't the best idea to keep Ricard. He's going to keep winning. So maybe we want to keep Danny, get rid of Deshaun because Danny could beat Ricard in an immunity challenge. So these are the conversations happening.
Right. The question is now, like, who could beat Ricard in an immunity challenge? Like, maybe that's who we need to save. And I was like, Xander, you should be able to. That's you.
I know.
You're supposed to be the guy to beat Ricard, but okay, whatever. You know, Heather thinks that Deshaun is more likely to beat him. Xander thinks Danny is more likely to beat him. Like, this is the debate. Erica and Heather, they just honestly are like, well, we could possibly work with Deshaun. We have a better relationship with Deshaun, which is true at this point. They have both kind of fake worked with Deshaun, even though Deshaun literally wanted to throw a challenge to get Erica out for weeks, for days, whatever length that was. But they've been fake working together. So maybe they keep Deshaun.
And then we see this little bit about Ricard's not sure about Erica and Heather because, you know, he hasn't known them for as long as he knows Deshaun. Like this, I just was like, next, like, I'm not believing that Ricard is suddenly going to turn and like, definitely not vote Heather out, but like even consider Erica. Like, no, I'm not entertaining this storyline that like maybe Ricard's going to flip and not vote out Deshaun.
Well, I think what he was saying is he doesn't know them as well as that Deshaun knows them, is how I took that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He's like, I don't know them. I just started working with them, but they have a past with Deshaun. So if Deshaun is in the game with those two,
that's dangerous for him.
They easily work together before they work with him.
So,
is how I took that.
I get it. Okay, got it.
So we're still in the world of like Danny versus Deshaun, Danny or Deshaun, and I am like, why is no one bringing up Xander? I mean, I get why Ricard's not bringing up Xander because he's a number, but are you telling me that Danny and Deshawn literally sat on the beach, not coming up with any sort of other, hey, let's make them turn on Xander. Let's point out that Xander still has an idol. Like, what? Are you telling me they just sat on the beach and were like, hey, I used to play football. Oh, isn't this crazy? What a journey we're on. Bye? What?
Nothing. And I have to believe that if they said it, they would have showed us. Like, because
Please.
Xander is an obvious target here and nobody's bringing him up. It is getting crazy. I know people in the chat and in our comment section for a while have been like, why is no one talking about Xander? And y'all are right. And now I'm like, why is nobody talking about Xander?
It's almost like the public idol thing just like made him invisible. They're like,
yeah, and
he's got an idol and we're not going to worry about him.
Yeah, I really think he's in with Erica and Heather. Those three are tight. And so if Erica was going to be Ricard, but Ricard has immunity. And so it's just not a real thing. But yet I thought at least Danny and Deshawn would be like, okay, what about Xander? But, you know, it just never came up. It was kind of shocking.
I just kept thinking if it was Ricard, if the tables were flipped and Ricard was feeling the trouble, which he has in the past, he would have come up with a plan. I mean, he flipped on Shan and he got Deshawn to flip on Shan. Like, Ricard has made things happen. And here we are where Danny and Deshawn are both in trouble potentially, and they did not try to flip on somebody. Come up with something.
Yeah.
Try something.
Yeah.
It might not have worked, but you could have planted some seeds of doubt on Xander instead of Heather. Like, what?
I know.
Come on. Anyway, this is so confusing.
You know, heading into Tribal, there's just even more focus on Deshawn's social game. He's trying to like cash in on, you know, the relationships that he's built. And he's saying like, I think I've done a better job at the social game than Danny has. So I'm just going to make the rounds and see what kind of support I can drum up before this crucial vote where it's either me or Danny. But that's where we're headed with this Tribal.
Yeah. Danny, Deshawn, big old targets. We're saying they were to talk about Ricard being the best player. Danny's like, we told you so, and you guys let him stay, and he's still here. Now he's wearing the necklace. And Erica's like, okay, boo, we all have different games, and he's loyal to me, so that's why I kept him. And I was like, kind of, yes, Erica, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. She's like, I voted for the woman who wrote my name down. That's what I did at the last Tribal. So you're going to, hold that against me, Danny. Feel free. Sure. Like,
sorry. The people against you are not the same people against me. See, we all have different games here. I thought she explained it very, very well there. But then Deshawn was like, let me show you guys how I play.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, remember a few Tribals back when I totally blew up Evie's game for, I don't know. I guess there was a reason to do that, but now
he's like, let me light this match because I'm about to like blow up somebody else's game.
I don't know what this had to do with anything other than just causing chaos.
I didn't get it either. This is a move you should have tried to make at the beach. Like, what do you think this is going to accomplish at this point? Because if it accomplishes anything, it's going to be for the next vote. Like, people are just going to be like, noted. And I'm going to take that information back to camp when, we have to do this next elimination. Because what he tries to do is say, Heather, Erica's not taking you to the end. She said it. And I just have to be honest and tell you, Heather.
I gotta drop a truth bomb. Like, Deshaun, why are you obsessed with this Erica Heather duo? They are like the least powerful duo. Like, Erica's got some power to her, but I'm sorry, the duo together does not really run this game. So I wish that you could see other things, Deshaun, because blowing them up is just not going to save your game. I don't know.
No. And like I said, they do like an extreme close up on Heather as Heather's like, thinking about it, right? And again, I'm just like, Heather's a little like, she's a wild card, right? Like she got up during that tribal and was trying to switch the vote and based on nothing, right? So like maybe Heather might do something weird, but as I'm watching this, I'm like, if this is doing anything, it's just going to produce a conversation back between Heather and Erica. It's not going to shift Heather's vote in this moment. And yeah, it just felt like...
Okay, let's say it shifted Heather's vote. She has no agency in this game. She has no pull in this game. So all of a sudden, Heather's like, yeah, Erica's got to go. And then Erica gets one vote. That's not doing anything in this tribal. Like what?
Like, as the vote shakes out, Danny and Deshaun are going to vote for each other. So, like, what's the backup plan if you get Heather to switch your vote?
This is just icing on this cake of, like, what happened in this episode that Danny and Deshaun couldn't even pick someone else to vote for.
I know.
They wrote each other's names down.
Crazy.
How much can you give up? Like, this is... Yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at the level of give upness that I saw in this episode.
But again, Erica just handling people at this tribal, because she turns around and she goes, you know, boo, we've had an up and down. And I kind of felt like I couldn't fully get there with you, but we've tried. We've been back and forth. Thank you so much, because now I know I can never trust you. She pats him on the leg. It is so patronizing, and he deserves it, you know?
It was so patronizing and perfect. And Danny was like, ooh, that felt personal. Yeah. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Like, Deshaun, no one now trusts you, which might be good in Ricard's eyes, but that's about it. I don't know. It's mind-blowing here at this point, but let's get to some votes, I guess. We do see Xander vote for Deshaun. Was that it? I was like, that was no other vote to balance it out?
To me, I was like, you don't have to show me Erica voting for Deshaun at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure that happened. But that was, Xander voting Deshaun was the only one we saw. I was a bit surprised. I don't know how you felt, but seeing the tie at this point, I guess they were just trying to figure out if Danny had the idol or not.
Yeah, a tie, it doesn't really matter. It's just if Danny plays his idol, okay, Deshaun goes. But if Danny doesn't play his idol, we can revote and take out Danny if that's truly their target, which it seems like it was, because that is what they're going to do. And again, Danny and Deshaun voted for each other, and I just can't.
I know.
Can't even believe it.
I can't. I was like, wait, where are the two votes for Erica? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, right. Give me something else, guys. No. So, like we said, they tied it up, and Danny didn't have an idol. He did not. Ricard's vibes were off. Danny didn't find it, so they are going to vote Danny out. And honestly, I don't know. I was really surprised. We've been talking about how Danny could possibly win this whole game.
Yeah.
And so when it was actually Danny walking out, I was like, wait, what? I didn't see this happening.
Yeah. So he's gone. Erica turns around, gives Deshaun a good old "you're welcome." And here's my thought about, I'm curious, like, let's talk about, because next week's the finale. So let's get into paths to winning, like who we think is going to win. Here's my thought with Deshaun. Is this some kind of underground winners edit? We've seen so much from him early on when he was on that trek with Evie, and we got the amazing backstory package on him kind of out of nowhere. And then he was the star of last week's tribal that was like so, poignant and emotional. And now there's a lot of, I don't know. I'm just like, we're getting a lot of Deshaun
We
for
are.
him to like go out in 5th place. Like, maybe something's going to happen here.
Well, I mean, yeah, I hate to say he has no chance of winning. I think his chances are lower than I originally thought.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a character. He's almost in the Ben role now. Remember Cowboy Hat Ben?
Yes.
The one that found a lot of idols. Like,
yeah.
He's almost become a character, right? His game is a hot mess, but he's got plenty to say. He's in the middle of it. So the edit doesn't feel like a winner's edit to me. It feels like someone who's going to be involved until we get to 4-ish.
Okay. Got it. Okay. All right.
But he definitely has the potential to win to the end, but so does Ricard, so does Xander, and I feel like so does Erica. I feel like this is an interesting mix where we don't have a clear winner.
Yeah.
We've got cases for a few different people for different reasons. We've got edit cases for a few different people. We've got, game reasons for a few different people. This is really going to be an interesting finale from my perspective.
I know. I think they all know that Ricard needs to go next. And he really does need to go next if I think any of them have a hope of winning. Because I think he's got the best case at this point, based on the immunity, based on like just him saying, I made the Shan vote happen and she was my number one. Like that was a huge move and really risky for him. And the fact that he pulled that off, I mean, it was clearly a group effort. Deshaun was involved and like a number of people turned on Shan, but like, I think that was just really big for Ricard's game specifically at that moment.
Yeah.
So he's got the strategy chops. He's got the immunity challenge win chops. All that's real good. But like Xander's right up there too. I think he has really had a good social game to, somehow emerge, post Shan getting out as a little bit of a ringleader on that side where there's some suspicion between like Erica and Ricard, but Xander maybe is like a little bit of a glue on that team holding people together.
Look, Xander has an idol and these idiots have not flushed it. So he's in the final 4.
Well, okay, here's my question with that. I wondered if this was his last chance to play it. Do you remember? He had something that was until final 6. Was that his extra vote?
Yes, his extra vote, which he already used. So next tribal is the last time he can play that idol. So obviously he's going to play it, period. Unless he wins immunity, which he very possibly can. Then maybe he decides he wants to use it on someone else to help save them. That's a possibility. But Xander's in final 4. That's pretty much a given. So Ricard needs to win. I feel like Deshaun needs to win, but I feel like Ricard could scoop up Deshaun to get Erica out, because I think in Ricard's mind, Erica is someone to worry about. In Erica's mind, Ricard is someone to worry about. So Erica may say, Deshaun, I don't trust you at all, but we have to get Ricard out. There's all sorts of crazy things that could happen here. Thank you so much for the super sticker.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate that. What did Jeff say? He said 2 immunities, 2 tribals, and 1 fire-making challenge. So it sounds like we are going to do a final 3 then, if that...
Well, so it's 1 immunity to take us down to 4, right? And then there's that final immunity where that person will bring someone, final. And then there will be the fire-making challenge to determine who the 3rd person is in the final.
Right, so nothing different. I was assuming this new era, we'd have a new end game.
Yeah.
But they are on a whole new island starting over, and it does look like they're running around and being crazy people. So I guess that's the new era stuff.
Yeah, right.
But we'll still do a final three.
Yeah.
I
I mean, Sarah,
don't know. Yes.
imagine Heather in a fire making challenge.
I don't think I have to because whoever wins is taking Heather.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, let's play hypotheticals.
Okay.
Let's say Ricard does not win this immunity. They get him out final four or final five. So
Yeah.
he's fifth place. So then we got Xander, Deshawn, Erica, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
You think whoever wins that final immunity brings Heather?
Yeah. Why?
Right.
Why would, I mean, I guess there's a case. Honestly, I think there's a case to bring Deshawn. I don't think Deshawn has a huge case to win the game. The only thing that Deshawn has is maybe a jury full of Luvus.
Allies. Yeah.
That might vote for him. But Luvu didn't really feel like Luvu strong. You know, they didn't give us that energy this season. So I don't know that helps Deshawn.
Yeah.
So I think Heather is the obvious goat. I think Deshawn's the next one. But yeah, if I'm Xander, I'm bringing Heather. If I'm Erica, I'm bringing Heather. And honestly, Deshawn, you should bring Heather.
You know, weirdly, I'm gonna throw this out there.
Okay.
Weirdly, I could see Xander saying, I want the best people sitting next to me in the finale. So I'm going to bring Erica because Erica's been my number one in the back half of the game. And Heather, sorry, respect to you, but like, I think it's your time to go. So you got to make fire against Deshawn. Like, sometimes Xander just has weird ideas about the best move to make. So
I mean, he does have weird ideas, but they have typically made sense strategically, or at least there was like a strategic angle to it. I think letting Heather go and sit in jury is not a strategic angle unless he's saying I have Heather's vote. But no, Erica has Heather's vote. So I don't know about that. I don't know why that would benefit anybody. Put Heather. If you put Heather next to someone making fire, you are assuming the other person is going to win.
Right.
So
so you only send Heather. Yeah, you only send Heather to the fire making challenge unless if you wanted to go home. So
yeah. And that's the thing. Right. Xander's not an idiot. He's a little off. He's not inside the box. He's a little outside the box. But he has proven to be smarter than, he lets on, which has been really good for his game to let people think he's dumb. Mm-hmm. They overlook him and make stupid moves at a tribal, like ask for his idol when he clearly doesn't have it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I think is going to happen, Joseph, is Ricard's going to win immunity. I think Ricard can win out here.
Me too. I do.
It's very possible. Of course, anything can happen, and he could not. But anyone who's left, he could win out.
He seems the most adept at the puzzle piece of things. And that's the deciding portion of a lot of these challenges at this point. So,
well, the last one is usually just endurance, just like, can you stand on this post forever and a day?
Or it's like the ball one where they're like putting balls into the thing that spins around.
Which I feel good about him doing that too. I don't feel great about it. Like Deshawn hasn't really had a great challenges. I mean, he almost had the puzzle here at this last one, but gosh, he was out first the one before that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Erica won immunity once. Of course, it was.
She did, but that was a joint. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's Ricard or Xander is going to win this immunity. So.
Yeah. And I think Xander can sit at the end. If he's sitting next to Heather and Erica, he's got a really good case. If he's sitting next to Heather and Deshawn, he's got a really, really good case. I think he wins if he sits next to Heather and Deshawn. I think if Erica sits next to Heather and Deshawn, maybe she wins.
Yeah.
If Xander and Heather at the end, I don't know how they sell themselves and win, I think Ricard wins no matter who he sits next to.
I wonder if Erica's best chance is Deshawn and Heather sitting next to her, and that requires her to work with Deshawn.
Mm-hmm. And win. She can win that last immunity, I think, and she can make that choice.
Yeah.
If they're able to get Ricard out.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. It's oof.
But I love this. I love that. I mean, I'm sad that Danny went because he was really kind of growing on me. He was a real good, like, even keel kind of person. He's definitely the best ex-pro athlete I think we've seen. Like, they don't usually last this long. So he was really fun to watch. I'm sad he's not there anymore, but I totally understand keeping the wild card Deshawn because Danny gets to the end. He can just win out of people.
That's right. Him. Oh yeah, for sure. He has no enemies on that jury. So yeah. So I'm excited about this Me
finale
too.
next week.
One more. That's right.
This could go a few different ways, and I'd be excited about a few of these winners.
Yeah. There's 3 people that I think have a really solid chance of winning. Deshawn has an outside chance. Heather, congrats on making it to final 3.
Oh my God, David, when I tweeted out our update and what about my Heather?
You literally mentioned every single person who's left in the game except Heather.
Why do you think that is, David? David.
Elaine's down to Ricard, but Ricard could pull out the win. I'm feeling good because I've got Danny, Deshawn, and Erica.
Yeah, I do.
And David's got Xander. No mention of the disrespect on Queen Heather's name.
Look, I'm glad Heather showed back up in this episode, but she ain't winning you this game, David. So you better hope Xander pulls out an immunity and gets
that would be
points.
The ultimate Survivor twist of all. Like, honestly, if Heather wins this season, close the book on Survivor because nothing will ever top that surprise. So
yes. By the way, tonight you and Elaine are now tied at 48, and I went up to 63. But I did lose Danny, so I'm now down to Deshawn or Erica, 2 people who could possibly win that game.
What's fun about this is that Deshawn could possibly win the game. Sure. What's fun about this, I think, is that each of us have one really strong contender. Yeah. Elaine's got Ricard, I've got Xander, you've got Erica. I think those are the top 3 with a good shot to win. Yeah. So that's fun.
That is fun. That's very fun. No, Glinda, I forgot to ask. Thank you for reminding me. So Elaine on Monday asked me what was my favorite show. Like, she's Survivor all the way. And I said, I think Big Brother. And she wanted me to get your take.
Survivor, I would say.
You guys, we can report back to Elaine that David said Survivor. She thought you would. And she was hoping you would. She's mad at me. She asked,
Big Brother was my first love, of course. Like that was my entry point into this, whole trinity of reality shows on CBS that you brought me in on. But I prefer Survivor at this point.
I am almost there. If BB23 had not redeemed itself, I would have been there, because it's been a rough time for us Big Brother fans.
It has,
But yeah,
it honestly
Elaine
is like
mentioned you a couple times. She's like, "Where's David?"
Oh, I love Elaine.
I think she was mad at what I was saying. She was like, "Where's David?"
She's like, "Where's the person who's going to agree with me?"
Yeah.
But with me, I think like it's a little bit of casting for me. Like the Big Brother people, they just have kind of gone the route of like casting those influencers, the people who want to be on TV, and the people they cast for showmances and all that kind of thing. Right. And I just feel like Survivor still very much casts for gamers and people who are going to play Survivor. And that's made it a bit more enjoyable for me lately.
It really is wonderful to see them actually care about people who watch Survivor and want to play Survivor because they love Survivor. They value that in Survivor casting, and I wish they valued that with Big Brother casting. I don't know why they only have like a one token person who's watched all of the seasons.
I know.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Amazing Race was my number one for the longest time,
Huh.
but we haven't had that many
I
lately, so it's
know.
just kind of falling off the list,
Yeah, but it's
you
back in
know?
next season, next year, right?
It's back in a couple weeks, y'all. January 5th is the next season of Amazing Race, and David and I are going to be
Mm.
right here. And last season of Amazing Race, we had press access with exit interviews every week,
We
and I'm
did.
told that we will have it again this year. It's not 100% confirmed, but I am told that it should be
Nice.
happening. So
Very
stay
good.
tuned for all that. I'm excited to have exit interviews for the season and cover that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we need Amazing Race back.
We do. I'm glad it's coming back for sure.
Well, you guys in the chat, thank you so much. As always, we really appreciate you hanging out with us, giving us your insights.
Yes, and if you're joining us later, leave us a comment and give us your projections on like everybody's path to the finale, and give us your parting words on Danny and his game, and who's your winner pick. Who do you think is going to take home that $1 million?
That's right, because the next time we talk, it'll be the finale. Actually, that's not true. On Monday, we will have our final ratings of the season, and we're going to have Mike Bloom from Parade back with us. Very excited for that. Yeah, Megan, I just saw that they're going to do like a celeb survivor-ish. Doesn't sound like celeb survivor, but some sort of survivor-ish celeb. We will absolutely be here for that if that happens.
Yes.
I'm not sure that that's confirmed yet, but the rumors are out there. And of course, we'll be here for Celebrity Big Brother because, yes.
How could we not?
Yeah, all of that. All right, you guys, we will see you next week for all of the exciting Survivor finale stuff.
Yes, we'll see you then. Bye.